The ocean. A beautiful yet ruthless ecosystem. With friendships and enemies, these animals must fight to survive. Before there was any life, it was a deserted wasteland. But as days passed, it began to thrive. But only the fittest will survive. To find out who will rule, we must go back to day 1. To set the tank up, we're going to need gravel, water, and some rocks. For the water, I went to this really nasty canal. I collected 50 gallons and put it in my inventory. In fact, I would never get this much water unless I wanted to make a torture chamber to drown my next door neighbor. After water, it was time to get gravel. Not to throw at little kids, but for my fish tank. But to decorate the tank, I got a few rocks. And I got this one to throw at my neighbor as soon as she walks out of her front door. Now that we've collected all items, we now need to construct the tank. The tank we're using is about 40 gallons. I draw my inventory of sand and spread it around. For hiding spots, I also put in some rocks. If you counted how many rocks I've collected, I now have 2 less from what I've started with. The 2 that went missing, let's just say they served a really good purpose. Dude, this ecosystem just started. Shit's about to get real on Project. It may seem a little empty, but as days go by, predators and prey will have to fight for the sake of surviving. Beneath every encounter lies a story to be told. On day 2, we follow a trail of gravel leading us to a dark rock. Kelp. They're the backbone of the environment. They have the ability to detoxify the water from any fish waste. But on day 4, the water settled and cleared up, attracting our first critter, hermit crab. These guys are the bottom feeders. They will eat anything that lands in their path. But there's one thing that stands out about them. They're very social creatures. This hermit crab is stuck on the back of his shell. Bruh. He tries his best to get back up, but he fails miserably. But luckily, he has a friend to help him. He gives his best effort, and sadly, he's not strong enough. And then he literally walked away. But in all seriousness, these guys actually gather in groups and they can form their own cult. And it's called the shell trade. They sit in circles and trade information they gather to hunt down other crab cults. Plus, they also trade shells for Bitcoin. But without food, they wouldn't gather here. And they certainly weren't alone, because above them were minnows. These guys are responsible for feeding the hermit crab cult by pooing on the floor for them to eat. You might think this is nasty, but they love scat play.
Hell no, man.
But there's something weird I noticed about one of the minnows. You can see that this one minnow I named Jamal has a bump underneath its head. Unlike his friends, this is not normal. But if you look closely, there's a blackish creature digging himself inside of Jamal's head. And if you didn't know what this was, this is a parasite.
Oh, you nasty ass bastard! You
I needed to do surgery. So I take Jamal out and I put him inside of this plastic container. I began to dig in and I got a grasp a hold of the parasite.
Oh my god, we got it. We just got it. He's dead now.
Luckily enough, he has survived the surgery. He seems to be doing fine, but one of his gills started gaping. The parasite was a pretty big size for Jamal. But on day 10, I noticed something abnormal. The water became brackish. The dark water makes it perfect for a hunter. This wasn't the safest spot for a little minnow, especially when there's an abundance of food. But where there's food are predators. He wasn't hungry. On day 15, the water suddenly cleared up. Rock scallops. These are the filter feeders. They have eyes to sense for prey and tentacles to feel the environment. They were everywhere, but not all of them survive. As the scent lingers through the air, an assassin snail makes an appearance. This little one is going to get his dinner. But where there's one, are more. It was a feast. As the scent travels farther, someone else decides to feast. A grouper. He doesn't know when his next meal is, so he eats as much as he can. Out here, only the strongest survive. On day 20, it was thriving with life. But somebody was a little hungry. A blenny. He has the ability to stay camouflage, but he's always on the search for food. He comes across a clam. He now hates clams. Now to find some food. From above, he spots his first meal. Leftover clam. He goes down to feed. But he was too late. Although he won't go down without a fight. He protects it with his life. He eats every scrap. He may be small, but most certainly the most dominant. He leaves nothing but a clean shell. On day 30, the little blenny decides to go find a mate. She begins her search. Not here. She flares her fins to attract an aroused male. She's also making racks from OnlyFans. And she gets excited because she sees a BBC. Then he goes away to think about it and comes back to give it another try because last relationship she stole all his money.